Hey guys, what is up, and I welcome each and every one of you to a new League of Legends top 5 video. So it's been over a month since my last top 5 mid lane video, and for this one I decided to start things off for patch 6.2 with the top 5 AP mid laners. It feels like this is what people currently would want to see the most, and once the new assassin item gets released, I'll update the top 5 assassin list. So before we jump into it, don't forget this is a combination of my personal opinion and statistics that I've been looking up for the champions in mid lane. And the question I want to ask you for this video is, what is your current favorite AP mid lane champion to play? Also, make sure to hit the like button if you want me to update the top 5 assassin list once the new AD assassin item comes out. But with all of that out of the way, let's go right into the number 5 spot. Alright, so starting things off for this video is going to be LeBlanc. Now I know she is an assassin, but I mean at the end of the day she is still listed as a secondary mage and she is an AP mid laner. I was a little hesitant on putting LeBlanc in this list because I mean her win ratio across all regions isn't necessarily anything impressive. But I still truly feel like she is quite a strong champion in solo queue, especially because of the recent buff. Her E missile speed got increased on her actual E ability and if you mimic her E ability, so it is a bit easier to land now. And I mean, I truthfully believe that LeBlanc, if played correctly or played very well, is a very scary champion to face. I mean, the amount of things that she can do, the amount of outplays that she can do, how she can get to the backline and burst people out, the power she has in the laning phase and how dominant and aggressive she can be is definitely something to fear. Also with LeBlanc being a very high mobile, high burst damage type assassin mage, well the fact that her passive is essentially a free get out of jail ability is very strong. The point of champions like LeBlanc is just to go full out ham on a target, being able to burst them down while having good mobility to escape if you play it correctly. But for this champion, if you do happen to mess up a little bit, well I mean not only do you go invisible for a split second, but you get a clone that now also shows whatever buffs you had on prior to the clone spawning. And well, it helps you quite a bit to make up for your mistake that caused you to pop your passive to begin with. Other than that, LeBlanc, something I've been mentioning every single time I've ever included her in any of my lists, is the fact that, well, she has a lot of options in her kit, which to me is a big plus. Do you need to escape or gap close as far as possible? Well, W and then ultimate. Do you need to do as much damage as possible? Well, Q and then your ultimate. Do you need to CC someone down for as long as possible? E and then ultimate. There's so many different things you can do in different scenarios that, I mean, it honestly works as a double-edged sword. I mean, yeah, you have these options and yeah, it's really good, but what you'll see in the negative section, it is a bad thing as well because knowing which one to do and when is not necessarily easy, and this is what separates good LeBlancs from the great ones. I'm also starting to recommend getting Mejai's on LeBlanc because I mean she does have a bit of issues when it comes to closing out a game if it lasts too long, which is a very common trait among assassin type champions. However, if you end up picking up the Mejai's and doing well, maybe around mid game, which you should, then you'll get it stacked up, you'll be doing an insane amount of damage and you'll snowball the game quite heavily. She can proc Thunderlords quite well and it's a very good stat on her, and going 45% CDR on LeBlanc isn't necessarily a bad thing either since the precision one got kind of nerfed and it's not really all that amazing as it used to be. The cons of LeBlanc, well I mean last hitting is a little difficult. Again, it's hard to close out a game if it lasts too long. Her wave clear is quite poor for an AP mid laner because you have to go face first into the wave to clear it, and again teamfights can be difficult to play because of the amount of things you can do. And here's an example of the runes, masteries, and items that you can get whenever playing LeBlanc. For the most part, these pages are quite standard, but again, feel free to mix them up however you see fit. And moving our way to the number 4 spot is going to be Lissandra. Now here's a champion that sort of fell out of the meta for quite some time after being very popular to, well, once again rising up from the ashes and becoming popular again. We're starting to see her a lot more in solo queue, a lot more in competitive play, and I mean it is for a good reason. Right now it seems like assassins are slowly coming back and becoming a lot more popular, or just in general having a lot of very mobile type champions that deal a lot of damage, maybe like Riven, maybe like Fiora, Quinn, Graves. And I mean all of these champions are ones that are annoying to deal with, so you need someone on your team to just be able to click a button, lock them down, and have everyone focus them. And well, luckily for us, Lissandra exists. I mean when it comes to bringing in CC for the team and locking down a target, there's almost no better option than the Ice Queen. But on top of that, she not too long ago got buffed where her ultimate, if used on herself, will heal her a decent amount of HP, so you can engage, put on your damage, they'll do some damage to you back as well, and then you pop your ultimate, get the HP back, slow them even more, deal bonus damage, and have your team follow up with your initiation. And at the end of the day, she also has somewhat of a decent laning phase. I mean, it's not the best because her Q is very short range and you have to get the proper angles to actually get any form of harass down. But on the bright side, ganking her isn't necessarily the easiest thing to do because of the big mobility on her E ability, and you can also work well with ganks from your own jungler just because of the gap close with your E, especially if you're level 6 and you can flash ult them. Sort of what you're seeing on this Ezreal right here. But at the end of the day, the reason I love Lissandra and I think she's a fantastic champion for solo queue especially is because 1, I truly believe that CC wins games. Even if you're behind, even if your team is not doing as well as they should, when it comes down to the team fights, if you simply have more CC than they do, chances are you might win. I've actually lost quite a few solo queue games while being ahead, strictly due to the fact that our team comp did not bring enough CC and just overall control within a team fight while the enemy team did, and we slowly lost. But because of the amount of crowd control that she does bring with her kit, at the same time it does mean that she's not a champion that solely relies on winning the laning phase. Someone like LeBlanc more or less has to win the laning phase or at least come out a little bit ahead in order to snowball and push the game for victory. But Lissandra, I mean, whether you're 10-0 or 0-10, you are bringing the ridiculous amount of crowd control to a team fight regardless, and you're able to lock down a target regardless. So that's a really big plus, and it sort of puts off the pressure of yourself of having to win your laning phase or else you're just absolutely useless. Now the negatives of the Ice Queen is, well, I mean, she does have a pretty bad passive. She is a mid-range caster, so not much long-range poke or siege. Her laning phase, like I said, isn't bad, but it's nothing special either because her Q is a little awkward and not the best wave clear in the game, but also not the worst. And just like LeBlanc, here are the recommended runes, items, and masteries that you can run whenever playing Lissandra. Feel free to change it up as you see fit. And on to the top 3 AP mid laners we go. Starting things off here is going to be Twisted Fate. Now some of you may have expected to see this champion a bit higher on this list, but I had to move him down by just a bit. Now don't get me wrong, I mean Twisted Fate is still a fantastic champion, and when it comes to solo queue, he's still definitely one of the best. He has nearly unmatched global presence with his ultimate, and especially if you take the summoner teleport. His kit is still fairly simple. I mean, it doesn't really require a whole lot of mechanics. It just takes a lot of patience, observation, and just overall awareness. Whether it's awareness of whichever card you're about to lock in, or awareness of looking always at the minimap every maybe 5 seconds to see where something is happening, where you can maybe teleport with your ultimate. Because at the end of the day, a Twisted Fate that doesn't use his ultimate to teleport across the map to make plays and snowball other lanes or make picks is not really doing what TF should be doing, and you are going to be more or less useless for your team. So if you're picking Twisted Fate, you better be able to use that ultimate and teleport across the map. But similar to champions like LeBlanc, he has options with his W. Whether you want more mana and damage, you go for the blue card. You want AoE kind of control and slow effect, the red card. Or if you want to lock down a single target for whatever reason, you have the gold card. So it's really nice to have these different options based on the circumstances and scenarios that you put yourself into. But another huge positive for me with Twisted Fate, that it's always been a huge positive for me, is the fact that his Q ability not only having fantastic range but also throwing 3 cards, but unlike something such as maybe an Ezreal ultimate, it does full damage to every single target hit. Now whether that's a team fight or you're going in for the wave clear, you're gonna be doing it quite well. Lichbane being a core item and also working quite well on him ever since the change to it, now offering 10% CDR, is very good because it works so well with his W and his E ability if it's ready to get procced. So he essentially almost goes from a control mage to potentially an assassin type mage, teleporting behind the lines and bursting someone down with one rotation of spells. And like I said earlier, when it comes to wave clear, like maybe the enemy team is pushing towards your tower or you're pushing towards their tower and you have to kill their minions as fast as possible, a red card plus a Q is usually going to be able to do the job quite successfully. Now the bad things about Twisted Fate, well, I mean, this is one of the biggest things and the biggest issues for me at the very moment. Q assess is a very popular item because Mercurial Scimitar is just fantastic. So whether you're facing an AD mid laner like Zed or Talon that most likely will be building Mercurial Scimitar, or even if you're facing an AP mid laner, chances are the top laner and the ADC champion will be building this item. And well, unfortunately for Twisted Fate, it counters him quite decently, because he does rely on the gold card to gain control of a situation, and when you can just instantly Q assess it, well, you're not gonna have a whole lot of control there. But other than that, he has no built-in mobility, he requires a lot of macro, something that most champions don't require as much as Twisted Fate, so it can be a little awkward. And when it comes to AoE damage, he isn't the best at it when you compare him to someone like maybe the one I have on #1 spot, someone like Xerath, or someone like Ziggs. But regardless, definitely worthy of the #3 spot, still an absolutely fantastic champion, and here are the runes and the masteries and and the items that I recommend you build whenever playing Twisted Fate. And moving along to the number 2 spot is going to be Ahri, a champion I personally believe is among the most well-rounded mid laners that you can almost never go wrong when picking. Now, some of you might have expected to see her in the number 1 spot, but I decided to put her in the number 2 spot because I simply think there's a better champion than her. So when it comes to offering something for your team, I mean, Ahri just does it so well. She has her true damage from her Q that also has good wave clear, has a lot of AoE potential damage, also it gives her move speed, then you have her passive in the laning phase which helps her sustain her HP by just a bit. You have her W combined with her ultimate that just synergizes very well and does some good single target damage while also dealing potentially a little bit of AoE. Her E ability is fantastic when it comes to trying to catch someone off. You can cancel many abilities like maybe a Z ultimate, someone like a Lee Sin Q, and it even makes the target slowly walk towards your team, which is even better. Her ultimate not only offering decent damage but also having 3 stacks of a dash makes it so difficult to catch her, while also makes it so difficult to stop her from doing what she wants to. I mean, when it comes to a well-rounded champion that just offers a lot and brings in a lot just solely due to the kit, Ahri is easily the first champion that comes to my mind. However, the bad things about Ahri, well, she doesn't really have any long range poke. Yeah, her Q is not too bad, but it's nothing compared to maybe like a Xerath or a Ziggs, and she doesn't have any escapes pre-level 6, so that can be a little annoying. But those are very small negatives for the amount of positives that she brings within her kit and just overall how the champion works. So without question, deserving of the number 2 spot, and again, here are the runes, masteries, and items that I recommend you build on Ahri whenever you play her. And last but definitely not least, we have Lux. Truthfully, I don't think this should be a surprise to many of you. I mean, Lux is currently absolutely dominating the games in solo queue. She has a huge play rate and a huge win ratio as well. She is just very successful at the moment, and I'm definitely expecting nerfs in the next couple of patches. But what's so good about her? Well, I mean, not only is she a very safe champion that it's really difficult to make mistakes with and die, especially if you take barrier, but she can stack Majaz very easily because again, she's very safe, she has a lot of long ranged abilities, great catch potential, and she can even just simply shield an ally and get an assist from that. But her Q got buffed not too long ago where now it does full damage to both targets and roots them for the full duration as well, so not only do you have the option to catch 1 target, but you can potentially catch 2 targets for your team. And catching someone off is one of the best ways to win a game of solo queue. Again, she has very long range abilities to the point where I think her E ability is much too long in range. She has great full burst combo as you see on this brand. Her ultimate has an insanely long range for the low amount of cooldown that it offers as well. Overall low cooldown on her spells, and I mean overall it's just really difficult to be bad at her. It's really difficult to make a lot of mistakes and play poorly. Because at the end of the day, even if you do miss some of the skill shots, well, they'll be up in just a couple of seconds and you can try again. So Lux, without question, the best AP mid laner at the very moment, but again, the bad things about Lux, no built-in escapes, she probably is gonna get nerfed quite soon. Her E mana cost is a little bit high at rank 5, and she is still skill shot oriented, so I mean, yeah, you can miss and try again, but sometimes you have to land the ability, and if you miss it, it's gonna be pretty bad. And just like with the other champions, here are the runes, the masteries, and the items that I recommend whenever playing Lux. But that is about it for this video, guys. Those are my current top 5 AP mid laners for patch 6.2. If you ended up enjoying this video and want me to update my top 5 assassin list once the new AD assassin item comes out, definitely make sure to hit the like button to show your support. Share with your friends, check out my other videos as well, subscribe if you haven't, all that good stuff, and I hope to see you guys for the next video. Here are my favorite answers from the previous video where I asked the question, in what role or lane are you going to be playing the new champion Jhin? But thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see you for the next one. Peace!